The pattern starts with a Fulling Mill 1180 all-purpose hook in a size 14. Begin by getting the hook firmly secured in the jaws of your tying vise. For thread, I load a bobbin with a spool of UTC 70D in white. Get the thread started on the hook shank right behind the eye, and after taking a few wraps rearward, snip off the excess tag and take a few more thread wraps rearward, then end with your tying thread hanging a full 2 hook eye lengths behind the back edge of the hook eye. Light olive dun Antron dubbing is used to form the body of the fly. I also like to use it to better anchor the EP fibers to the hook shank. Pull down on your bobbin to expose 4 to 5 inches of tying thread, and using just the smallest amount of dubbing, create a very slender inch-long noodle on your tying thread. Take wraps of the noodle to build up a fuzzy little base for the wing, ending with your tying thread in the same location as before. EP trigger point fibers are used to form the wing and the tail on the fly. The color I'm using here is a Western Caddis Gray, but a variety of colors can be used to represent the wing and tails of a PMD. It's very hard to gauge a mount with trigger point fibers, but a clump about this size is a good place to start for a size 14. After snipping the clump free from the hank, get a hold of one end so it points toward the tail of the fly. Measure to form a tail a little more than a full hook in length, then transfer that measurement rearward to the start of the hook bend. Using a pin trap, anchor the material to the top of the hook shank with tight wraps of tying thread. The dubbing beneath really helps to keep the slippery fibers from spinning around the hook shank. Pull the forward pointing portion of the material back and take a few tight thread wraps right in front of it. Now pull that portion up to vertical and give it a real good counterclockwise twist as if you're looking down on it. Fold the material over, leaving a twisted wing post that's about ½ of an inch tall. Now hold and anchor the material at the base of the post with nice tight wraps of tying thread. Then snip the forward pointing material off and save it for the next fly. Take a few wraps of tying thread to clean up the area in front of the wing post, then pull the post up to vertical again and take a few wraps behind it. There's way too much material here for the tail of the fly, so pull up about 1/3 of it and snip it off close. Pull up another third a little ways down the hook shank, then snip that off as well. This also helps to add a little taper to the body. Now take thread wraps rearward all the way back to the start of the hook bend, like this. Now grab some dubbing wax. Here I'm using the premium stuff from Wapsi. Apply a light skim of dubbing wax to about 2 inches of your tying thread. Retrieve a more ample clump of the same dubbing as before and use it to create a slender 2-inch long noodle on your tying thread. The thinner you can make it, the better. Start taking wraps with the noodle so the dubbing begins right at the base of the tail. Then take touching to slightly overlapping wraps up the hook shank to create a lightly tapered body on the fly. If you're a little shy of dubbing, don't sweat it. Just go back to the dubbing and make another noodle to fill in where needed. End the noodle with a bare tying thread, then take a few wraps right behind the eye of the hook. Reach for your whip finish tool and use it to do a 4 or 5 turn whip finish behind the hook eye, seat the knot well, and snip or cut your tying thread free. Pull the wing post back and trim it in line with the back edge of the hook bend to produce a wing of the correct height. Preen the material downwards so it creates a 180-degree arc on top of the fly like so. This makes the fibers act as outriggers to support the fly on the surface film. Now trim the tail a whole hook shank in length. There you have it, the PMD trigger point usual. In proud support of Project Healing Waters Fly Fishing, healing those who serve.